On today's episode of Open Box Policy, we talk about goon pillows. We talk about bad sunburns.
And racism.
And, and Jussie's, Jamie just cut right to it. And we talk about Jussie Smollett, the guy from Empire, who apparently made a big boo-boo by telling everybody that he was attacked, and now it's coming out that...
With a tiny boo-boo on his face, which doesn't make sense.
Now it's coming out that it wasn't true.
Uh-oh.
Wah, wah,
Reach out to us on our socials. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at OBP_raw. Also, we are now on Spotify. We became available on Spotify like 2 episodes ago.
And it was all...
let anybody know except on our socials.
It was all Devin, and we really appreciated Devin.
I appreciate it.
We need to give Jamie a shout out too. Jamie just purchased, what was it, don't roll your eyes at me. Jamie purchased Open Box Policy, like the domain.
.com. Yep.
Yeah.
Openboxpolicy.com.
But don't go
soon,
to it yet, because
we will have our own personal website other than a Podbean hosting website. But soon, so stay tuned.
Don't go to it yet, because we need Devin.
Right, yeah.
We need Devin, who's like the glue to actually make it and like do all the important things that we love him for doing.
Yeah. It's funny. I just realized that I didn't put the glue on the screen, so we can't see him. All we can see is my my garage band. We can't even see Devin right now. He can see us. Yeah.
Anyway, it's greatly appreciated, guys. Thank you.
And feel free to shoot us an email if you feel the need to at OBP. Every fucking OBP@gmail.com.
OBP podcast.
Fuck.
Yeah, Jamie. Look, she hasn't had dinner and she's tired.
I haven't had dinner. I'm fucking hangry.
Yeah,
I'm hangry.
and she had poo on her finger earlier.
That lasted for 2 hours, but that's nothing compared to other people who make money.
That I delegitimized.
We're out of bread and he needs to get bread because we'll be out in 3 days or 2 days because we eat so much bread. Like, he's going to fucking forget that bread because he's not interested in tracking the bread and when we need it. But money he is.
It's because Australians don't track bread. They track kangaroos and aborigines.
Have you ever heard? Did you see my post on Facebook about the goon pillow? Does anybody know what the goon pillow is?
Negative.
Isn't a goon pillow... a bag of wine that's been blown up or something?
I feel like you read my Facebook post because you're the only American so far who's actually said that.
Glenn and I have talked about it before.
Yeah.
I feel
and
like
when I saw one of you all like define it, I was like, yeah, Glenn and I talked about it. Oh, so I
didn't. So I don't know, 4 nights ago, my bag of wine ran out. Glenn's like, you're going to make a goon pillow? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he walked in with the bag and blew it up and tied the end off. And he was like, it's a pillow. And I was like, is that a thing? He was like, yeah, it's a thing. And
I feel like a goon pillow is like a memorable pillow from the movie The Goonies.
Oh, I feel like a goon pillow is something that happens while you're in prison.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's dark.
Yeah.
That's real dark.
Yeah, man.
Yikes.
Have you had one of those goon pillows yet? You're like, oh, shit, man. No, when does that happen? They're like, on day 2.
You blow it up and you lay on it.
Yeah. Then they bring in a nice box of wine.
Literally a goon pillow is you blow in a bag and tie it off and it's just an inflatable?
Well, no, it's basically when you're so shit-faced and you need someplace to pass out. Like when I posted on Facebook, I had all of our Australian friends been like, oh, I've used that so many times. So you need someplace to sleep. And you blow up the bag from the wine, and that's your pillow.
Nice.
Yeah. And the only American who actually knew what it was my aunt. And she was like, I used to blow those up and sunbathe. And I was like, kind of the same thing.
Oh,
she said it nicely. Basically, she was probably shit-faced sunbathing.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Look, note to all our listeners out there, in case we have anybody listening that's never been shit-faced and then gone out into the sun and fallen asleep, don't do it.
Turn back.
I made that mistake in the blazing hot Virginia Beach sand one summer, like drinking enough beer to kill somebody and then falling face first, or basically falling asleep with my stomach up and my arms splayed out like I was on a crucifix. So all of that white sensitive meat was laying out in the sun.
For how long?
Well over an hour. And I woke up and it was in the heat of the day, and I told my friend, I was like, hey man, I told you to wake me up. How long have I been laying here? And he was like, I don't know, bro. I fell asleep. And I'm like, dude, you told me you weren't going to fucking sleep. And he was like, he looked at his clock and he was like, oh shit, we've been laying here for an hour.
It's been a full day.
Yeah. I
don't think
I
I've
was
ever
wrecked. I couldn't put my arms down. Oh God,
I don't think
awful.
I've ever fallen asleep in the sun because
I was blistered.
The second I start getting uncomfortable, no matter how drunk I am when it comes to like heat or whatever, I'm like, get me out of here. Like I've been to Mexico a few times, especially when I was young and drinking all the time. And every time I started to get hot, I was like, I'm gonna go to the room. And
I've
pass
never
out there.
passed out hungover in the sun. Almost said the snow, but I have fallen asleep in the sun. Just like, I don't know, I got comfortable and fell asleep, and I woke up like an hour later, and it was just, fuck.
Oh, yeah, you're wrecked.
My chest is ruined.
Yeah. I remember taking showers, and it hurt so bad when like the warm water would hit me that it would make me shiver. You know what I mean? Like, I would shiver with pain. It was disgusting. It was disgusting in how much pain I was in. I would writhe around in bed at night.
Putting clothes on fucking hurts.
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean,
you guys could technically just walk around and just look like idiots on the beach and not have shirts on. Us girls have to wear like fucking strappy shit.
Yeah.
Imagine taking like your burned chest and then wrapping like a rope around it super tight.
Yeah. I'm sure it was awful. Yeah,
I'm sure he's done that before.
I mean, not me personally, but I've seen it.
Speaking of, did I mention that I was tied up? Yeah. Yeah.
You would have the white parts of the rope.
Yeah. I'm into bondage.
On Virginia Beach.
I had been. I was bound
with your friend.
Yeah,
I was tied to the pier.
Yeah, with my arms outstretched. Yeah,
like
so it basically
bondage,
was a crucifixion.
Yeah, exactly.
Bondage Jesus.
Yeah,
is what you were.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need to talk about something that we all mentioned to each other before, and I know that you all know a little bit about it, but
I know a lot about it.
We need to talk about this whole ordeal with I don't know what his name is, but Jussie, or
let's just say Jussie.
Jussie Smollett, the guy.
Jussie Smollett.
Yeah, from
Empire.
I'm assuming some of our listeners probably know the story. The recap is he flies into Chicago. He gets off a plane or something like that.
After it's been delayed
a
lot.
He's walking around Chicago around 2 a.m., and he says two masked attackers grab him. They rough him up.
Wearing MAGA hats.
They were wearing MAGA hats, Make America Great Again hats, and they were yelling.
No.
They were yelling stuff. They were
this
saying,
is MAGA country.
This is MAGA country.
But apparently they were wearing red hats.
Well, that was the first case.
Yeah.
And then
that was all
like,
of the cases are fucked.
And then he was like, yeah.
So
and then he was like, no, they weren't wearing MAGA hats.
Yeah, so his story started to change. But anyway, we're going to get to that. So they attacked him. They were masked. He never said if they were white or black. But I mean, the assumption is they were white.
Put a noose around his neck.
They put a noose around his neck. The cops
poured chemicals on him.
They poured chemicals on him. So when the cops come up, they say the noose is still around his neck and he's laying there, and they whatever. This whole situation
did the cops
starts.
Find him?
No.
His friends. He was with some people
or
some people.
He went back home to his apartment.
Oh, that's not what I heard. I heard that when the cops came, the noose was still on his neck.
No, when he didn't report it. He went home and he called, I believe, his manager, and his manager then called the cops, who then came to him. And yes,
that's right.
Then there's two stories that don't line up. There's another story out there that he stayed on the street and he waited for the cops to show up, because we've consistently heard that when the cops showed up, he still had the noose around his neck.
No. 100%. Everything that I've read has been that he went home and he didn't want to report it. at all. And then he talked to his manager, and his manager then called the police. The police came to his house, and that's when he was taken to the hospital.
Okay.
Look, Adam doesn't believe me.
No. I just heard.
Yeah.
I mean, what I've read and what is accurate. Yeah. It's there. That story exists. I just didn't realize. So, I mean, this story is super convoluted, and that's where we're going to end up going with this. Is the story is just unbelievably convoluted. Then
Either
he goes
way,
on.
we're all with whether it's the story you heard or that we heard. The perception is that he was attacked, and it was a racist.
It was basically a racially charged hate crime.
Homosexuality hate crime.
Right.
Yes. So, but that's what we're left with. Public, the America's outraged. You have all these people behind him. Saying how dare they? All those
immediately
things.
After it was reported happening. This is sick. Stuff like that.
Well, everybody went crazy, and then there was a hashtag that was like "Justice for Jussie" and all this stuff, and all of these Democratic candidates, all of these Hollywood types,
Hootie the Blowfish,
all these people jumped on it.
Hootie the Blowfish, really?
Yeah.
Darius Rucker.
Well, he's black.
I just call him
so
Hootie.
I mean, like tons of people jumped on it, and the funny thing is that now it's starting to come out that it was staged, and. So then you go back and I watched one of his first interviews before we found out it was staged.
I haven't seen any of the interviews.
And the entire thing it looks like a Broadway person like acting out something, and he's very animated, and when he's talking about it, he's like, well, then they grabbed me, and then I punched him back. And the whole thing it sounds like a production. It sounds like something that somebody made up, and that's basically what happened. The cops were like, this story doesn't add up, and then it started to change, and then they immediately started to investigate it.
You said Broadway, right? So the reason he was out of town was because he was trying out, doing an audition for a Broadway play. I'm going to sound like an asshole, but it's an old movie. It's basically it's a true story about a biracial baseball player who was bullied out of baseball because he was biracial and homosexual. So he was actually trying out for that Broadway play right before he flew into Chicago.
I did not know that part.
And then he was delayed because of weather or whatever. And so he came in later than he was supposed to, like 2 hours later than he was supposed to. So it comes out later that they found these two guys that he was on the show Empire with. And those two guys...
they were extras.
They were extras.
It's not like
one of them was like one of his trainers.
It was a personal trainer, and then the other guy was on the show, yeah.
So these two guys were followers... The theory is they were followers on his Snapchat and Instagram, and the theory now is that he was doing all of these uploads about his delay, which he never does. He's never that
expressive
active
on social media.
Yeah. And he was basically keeping tabs on them. So they had a neighbor who said that there were two guys around his apartment an hour and a half by the time he would have gotten home from that flight with a rope in their pocket. She couldn't say what race they were because they were too far away.
Okay, so exactly. So like nobody could tell what was going on, and like there's all like so the whole thing. Funny enough, it was set up. Well, it looks like it was set up to be around a bunch of cameras, but like the cameras like conveniently
couldn't find anything anywhere.
They couldn't catch certain things, and so here's a piece of the story that I find very interesting.
What's your source?
CNN.
Okay, I just want to know.
So the original story was that the cops showed up and he still had the noose around his neck, and that's still it's hard to corroborate that. But here's I think this is the deal. So he was at his apartment when he called the cops, right? You said that his manager told him to call the cops, right?
What I read is multiple places that he told his manager, and his manager called the cops.
Yeah, he's on his phone with his manager when he was attacked. Police have video entering the Lowe's after the alleged attack with what appears to be a noose around his neck.
No, these are the
just listen to me. However, they have not found the video of the incident at this point. Yada yada yada. So, he says that they yelled at him. They called him an Empire, Faggot.
Yeah.
and an Empire N-word, and they started striking him, and they put a noose around his neck, and they poured unknown substance, yada, yada, yada. But then there's video of him walking back into his hotel with a noose around his neck. So there was an article that I was reading today that was like, imagine somebody like pours something on you or puts a noose around your neck and like whatever, they like beat you up. Your natural instinct is to be to like take it all off and get it all off you. But he, as far as they're concerned, to make sure that it's all on camera, like this orgy of evidence, he leaves it all on and he walks past cameras that he knows are videotaping to make sure they see it all on him.
And here's my thing. I don't know how hate crimes work, but I do know that if you are so angry at a race or a sexuality, you possibly, most likely, beat somebody up more than a tiny nick. The pictures are basically a nick below his eye.
Right, it's like a scratch below his eye.
Like my kids have fallen down.
You know the two Nigerians have already come out and started to deliver statements.
The day after they went back to their native country to go visit the family, and then when they came back, the police apprehended them and brought them in, and they basically said, that he wanted us to do it. He wanted us to rough him up, and then he said, "We planned this because he was getting rough with me."
And one of the guys was like, "We went really light on him. I don't know how he got a bruise under his eye. Like that must have just been like an accident. Like because we went really light on him, but they were like kind of roughing him up and whatever. But it was just a total coincidence that he got a little bruise under his eye. But what's crazy is there's all of these articles about domestic terrorism, and this is racism, and this is Trump's America, and so on and so forth. And that's exactly what he wanted. He wanted all the publicity. He wanted all these things. And we basically know that this was all staged because he won't meet with the cops anymore. He won't give any public statements. He won't talk about anything. And Empire already believes that this was staged because they cut all of his parts out. He's only going to be on set for like 2 days this week when he was supposed to be recording for like 7 days.
Well, and then people kept saying, "Oh, it's because they're going to write him off." But then Empire came out and said, they said, "Well, we weren't ever going to write him out." Like they said they weren't going to. So either it was his fear or attention or whatever. But like
they're saving face. They're writing him off the show because they don't need that botched publicity stunt on air anymore. Yep. I mean, it's just like anybody. I mean, like Matt Lauer, says something about sexual whatever.
Roseanne.
They need to wipe the slate clean.
And here's the thing. I think it's very clear that I am not a fan of Trump. God, I hate that man. But this is not a way of going about vilifying him. Like, let him do it himself because he does a really good job. But you don't.
What I'm still trying to figure out is what was his MO? Like, was it to
publicity? I think publicity.
Publicity.
Wait, was it to get more publicity on himself?
Everyone loves a victim. Everyone loves a victim, especially in Trump's America, and especially if anything has to do with race or something to do with
your sexuality
or politics. They love a victim.
We
love victims in this country.
I think it was a twofer for him. Like, again, I want to say I hate Trump, but I think for him it was I could get more famous from this hate crime, and I can also show that the way that Trump is causing this hate crime. I think that he kind of expected it to happen and maybe not be investigated too much because he's a celebrity.
I think everybody just assumed, young black gay man walking around Chicago, which whatever, at night, gets beat up and people yell racial and homophobic slurs at him and then say something about Trump. Well, that's just, I mean, we hear it all the time. Like, oh, that's just normal, And so
I think he didn't think it'd be investigated as much as it was.
But a lot of people are coming out and saying now, like, what he did and causing such a huge stir, and we have a hashtag Justice for Jussie or Jussie, whatever the fuck his name is.
He's downplaying everything that's happened to somebody legitimately.
I want you, exactly. He completely delegitimizes all that stuff because now we're going to start questioning every one of them. This piece of shit, if this is all true, and we basically know it's true, this piece of shit needs to be vilified. They need to vilify his ass because
half of it is true. It's fucking shitty as shit.
I was talking to Devin, or it was either you or someone else about this earlier today. What people don't think far enough down the line. If this was real, it causes such a stir in the 350 million people, even if only 10 or 15 million people are actually paying attention to this. That could mean that someone is out at a Kroger one day and they see someone in a MAGA hat, and maybe they just go up to that person and cause a huge disturbance. Or maybe now someone with a MAGA hat feels even more empowered because they're like, yeah, people are out there doing stuff. So on both sides of the aisle, you have people that are going to start to becoming radicalized over these types of things. This, inadvertently, I know this sounds crazy, but inadvertently, this could literally lead to someone's death. Like people that become
with the ecosystem.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and he just, these actors and these people that need to be victimized and need all that bullshit don't ever understand how wrecked they can fuck up the balance.
Yeah. Well, and everybody claims like they have a platform, they should say something. I get that. That's great. I'm not talking about this situation, but like there's a far more majority of people who have hate crimes on any side that happen to them that are not voiced, and you have people like him who have done this, and now it makes it harder. It may make it harder to some people to believe real things.
Yeah, absolutely. The article that I read today, basically, it's going to be a rare occasion that I am ever going to quote Donald Trump Jr. on here.
Call him Trump.
Donald Trump Jr.?
Yeah,
you're not even quoting Trump himself. You're quoting Trump Jr.?
Trump
well,
Jr.
He actually said Trump on accident.
I said Trump or
he
Donald
said
Trump.
Donald Trump
Donald
Jr.
Trunk. So he went out today because he's a huge internet troll.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
He came out. It's funny. I tried to type in Donald on my phone and it came in Dinka. Because those are all the letters that are right next to what I need. So he said he basically called out all of the Justice for Jussie or Jussie, whatever the fuck his name is. He called them all out today, and he was like, "Hey, Justice for Jussie people, it was really funny how you all were super into this and jumping all over it, and now I'm going back to Twitter and all of you all have deleted all of those tweets."
Yeah,
like
most of the people who came out that were on the dim side, they have all like deleted their support tweets and stuff, which rightfully so. I mean, you don't want to have anything like that on your feed. They
jumped on a train they thought was real, and good, they did. And why would you assume that somebody would make up such an awful story? They were showing support for something they thought had happened. Well, and rightfully so, they deleted it because now it's not true. But God, I can't.
Rightfully so. But this has happened plenty of times before. Like, wait until people investigate it and the truth comes out. This has come back to bite you in the ass plenty of times before. Just wait for the truth. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person if you're not automatically jumping on board and justice for Jussie or whatever.
I don't think it's necessarily bad to show support. And if that support turns out that it's a lie, well then you delete it because you made a mistake. But like I will never be a fan of, I mean, for fuck's sake, Donald Trump Jr. fucking
But what would it hurt you to just not say anything?
Well, ask Donald
Right.
Trump, because
Just
he
wait
doesn't
for the
shut the
fucking
fuck
truth
up
to come out.
ever.
We're not talking about
I
Donald
know,
Trump.
but you're reading a Trump Jr. thing.
No, I haven't. I'm just saying. I thought it was funny. I never quote this guy.
No, I agree.
But he was like, "Hey, it's strange that no one in Hollywood or mainstream media seems to want justice for Jussie anymore." He's like, "Wonder what changed." And it's true. It's like, as soon as someone says, "Oh my God, mommy, like someone hurt me," everyone comes out of the woodwork and they're all freaking out about it.
That's a horrible thing.
All right.
That's a really bad situation to compare that to.
The hate crimes.
No. Like to bring up like, mommy, someone hurt me. Like,
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
My point
Look, everyone
yes.
assumed it was a hate crime. Everyone was super upset. Everyone assumed that it was domestic terrorism and yada, 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 yada. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's funny. Excuse me. No, it's sad. It's very sad that we're finding out that this dumb bastard basically.
It's awful.
Because then, let's be honest, the reason why it's sad is because we can validate trolls.
Yeah.
Like, shocked, I really thought that the MAGA folks were waiting with a rope and a bottle of bleach to ambush a rich guy at 2 a.m. in -4-degree weather because those conditions are where all people go out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
It's funny. Like, as soon as this happened, there were a lot of people supporting him and everything, but there were a lot of people who were like, wait, like, how did he get attacked by two random guys with bleach and rope at 2 a.m. on the streets, Like, people just walk around with a rope and bleach in their pocket,
Well, yeah.
There were plenty of people coming out and
there were
calling foul.
When I first heard about it, I was like, "Oh my God, here we fucking go again." And then I saw the guy's article. I saw him talking about it, and then I saw his interview. And I remember before it ever even came out,
I need to watch that.
I was looking at this and I was like, "This looks weird. This doesn't look." And just like we talked about last week, Lady Gaga and all of that flashy acting bullshit, acting like she was crying on the fucking award show, it was just fake. So when this guy did that, and I'm looking at this TV show, I'm thinking to myself, something's wrong. He's not destroyed. He's not upset. He's not ridiculously angry. He's just telling this story. It just seemed like he was
acting.
Acting, yes. And I remember I'm going, God, this just seems weird. I mean, the whole story's weird. But I wasn't saying this is bullshit. I don't believe it. I was like, man, this is just nuts. And then TMZ, who's been following it really carefully.
TMZ.
I don't know if you all know this. I know
policy news source.
Right.
I know that it sounds crazy.
No, I know.
They are a legitimate news source. They
do research the fuck out of things.
I will.
They post ridiculous headlines.
We probably
but they
lost
do
a bunch
research
of
the fuck out
listeners,
of
but
shit.
I completely agree.
I know.
I agree. They like have broken news before like a lot.
It's because
people.
they're
Like,
huge,
I know.
and they have all of these sources all over the place. It's funny, like these big magazines and these big news outlets will quote TMZ because they break news so fast. It's nuts, and it's just because they're connected. I mean, they're in Hollywood. They're connected to all this stuff.
What kind of world do we live in now that TMZ's like the number one breaking news?
The same world we live in that Donald Trump is our fucking president.
It's the 7th level of hell.
I mean, shit.
7th level.
Yeah.
Like
we're literally at Beelzebub's feet.
The same.
He's got a fork, and he's just like.
The same world we live in where people fake hate crimes.
I just want to be alive for like the next 3 years and not.
Yeah, I agree.
Have a
Look,
mental breakdown about everything.
We're all. I mean, I know it's these opinions are coming from 3 intelligent white people. It's
intelligent.
Yeah, we are intelligent, but at the same time, even for me, I've never in my entire life had a hate crime perpetrated against me. I've never even thought of that. Yeah. absolutely been the victim of wholehearted racism. I've been the victim of wholehearted sexism. We talked about it last week. I've had sexual harassment happen to me. I've had these things happen to me. Now, they don't happen on such a regular basis that I'm like wrecked by it and I'm scorned by it, but I've had these things happen. I've had these experiences, but I've never experienced a hate crime. So, I mean, but unfortunately, even though I've never experienced that and I've never understood or tasted what that feels like, it still delegitimizes all of the other stories that I hear and the ones that I'm going to hear moving forward, especially the ones that have anything to do with MAGA. When people are like, oh, they're screaming MAGA and they had hats on and all that stuff.
And it happens, and it happens vice versa.
Of course it does.
But those poor people who actually happens to are now going to be questioned a little more legitimacy than it would have been if
they're going to be taken
happen.
a little less serious than
which
what they
really
would have before.
fucking sucks.
And that's sad because it pits them against the entire world when something real like that happens to them.
Well,
it pits them against their own family members possibly, or friends who are going, well, dude, Jussie pulled that, so maybe you are.
Did it really happen? It's you get hundreds, thousands of people second guessing you.
And that's what's so scary about it. I had a friend of mine. I don't think I've ever told this story in a podcast. It's super quick. He was a football player. He had a friend. He was like a semi-pro football player. He had a friend that had a rape allegation made against him. It ruined his semi-pro career. He lost his job and all this stuff happened. And then in court, it came out. She admitted in anger, I deliberately said that he raped me because I was angry at him and I wanted to fuck up his life. And she goes to jail. She goes to jail. This guy gets completely vindicated.
But his name is on anything you look up.
Completely smeared. Never has a football career again and can never go back and do any of that stuff again. They put her ass in jail. They just did this to a woman in New York about a year and a half ago. She said that like these guys raped her and she went off on all this bullshit. She did press conferences. She got Gloria Allred or she got someone to represent her. And then it came out. She admitted that she was just an angry little girl, that some guy wouldn't do whatever, so she said he raped her. It just messes me up. Because it really affects me. It makes me, like, when people are talking about a story like that, it's always in the back of your head. Even though I know that far more often
women are raped.
Yes. Yeah. And they're sexually harassed.
Yeah.
But people don't understand, especially in the way that we wield media nowadays. We can wield the media. You can use the media to slice through people and to cut through bullshit and to victimize yourself. The media is a tool that you can wield. And the way that we wield media nowadays, it's fucking terrifying how fast I could run out into the street and do a bunch of bullshit and then get Channel 5 News and make something national news. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Man, that just sent chills down my back, Adam. You were preaching there for a second.
It's crazy.
I was like starting to lift up out of my seat a little bit. The way we wield news media, the way we use it and slice through people. Oh, man.
It's
all right, you guys. Fucking calm down. Look at you two.
Does
I got a boner.
Have an erection right now?
I got a huge boner right now.
Oh my God, you said boner, you said erection.
I can see Jamie's boner.
I don't have a fucking boner.
You've got a huge boner. I can see
my boner is not there. That is my
real quick
bloated
the other
belly.
day.
Yeah, that's her pooch, her pouch.
Right. The other day, Anna and I were watching something.
I can't. You just
God damn it!
I'm sorry, Devin. She just said I can't say that she's got a.
No, I can say I have a pouch because I can say it.
Have you seen my pouch?
It's my body. You can't say it. I can.
It's my body, my world.
Yeah, you can't say I have a pouch. You aren't. My husband.
If I have a bigger pouch than you,
that's not the same thing. I'm a woman who is expected to be like slim and thin and healthy and pop
You're
out 2 kids.
You're not expected to be slim and
I don't know.
healthy and whatever.
Oh, that is another story.
I don't know if you've noticed, but you are slim and you are healthy.
But you just pointed out my pooch.
It's you pointed.
That's why I said it, Jamie.
You said it.
No.
You're not expected to be those things because you're already that.
Put your finger down away from.
I pointed at your lady boner.
He's pointing at my vagina.
Yeah.
You're just pointing at her
Tables have
vagina and laughing.
turned.
You know what's funny? We need to make this needs to be national news, and we just need to re-legitimize all of women's suffrage just off of that right there.
No,
He's pointing at my vagina.
What we need to do is like have our podcast videotaped in the corner because everybody could see all this pooch, fingers, the rolling of the eyes we all do to each other,
Yeah.
and your two
Adam-
boners. that happen at
Adam
the
was
same
also
time.
wearing a MAGA hat when you said that.
Just coming here in all like MAGA gear. Yeah,
No, speaking of boners, Anna and I were watching a TV show or something like that.
I need to hear
and
this.
something weird happened with food, and I was like, "Oh, they just gave me a boner." And she goes, "Boner alert!" in this like in that voice, and I'm just like, "Where the fuck?
Where the hell did that come from?"
man?"
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never heard that out of your mouth.
I
Yeah,
love
I know.
Anna. Tell her I said hi.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Tell who?
Tell Anna. I said
Oh,
hi.
Anna. You said yeah.
I said
Yeah.
that every time I
Jamie
see
tells me to tell Anna that she said hello every episode.
you. Every episode.
Yeah, she
and I
does.
never do it.
Yeah.
I never say hello.
That's why-
Notice that Jamie never tells me to tell my lady friend hi.
Because I just text her.
Touche. Jamie just one-upped me.
Devin, this is why you don't get like meals that I make possibly sent to you, freezer packed, because you don't do the one thing I asked. Tell Anna I said hi.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
actually legitimately do it every single time that you say.
You
and
fuck-
I've told this to you before.
You're a liar.
I've said that before.
You're
He
a
has.
liar and a whore.
I'm not Jussie
What?
Smollett.
What'd you
Yeah.
say about a whore?
Oh.
I'm a liar and a whore.
Adam just,
Oh.
took, Adam just
Are
took his
you-
Adam just took his MAGA hat off and he's getting
Yeah.
he's getting dirty.
I was looking at your whore mouth. What's that movie is that in? When he was like, you better just shut your whore mouth.
Anchorman.
Anchorman,
Adam
yeah.
just took off his MAGA hat and put on his Not My President hat.
Oh, fuck.
Oh,
That's
too
good.
good. Anyway,
Good spot to
Anyway.
end on, guys.
Stay
Yeah.
tuned for breaking news on this Jussie Smollett because it's gonna officially come out probably within the next couple weeks. That
I would
It'll
say
come
that, I
out
would say
within-
the next
Hoax.
week.
next couple days.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, as more and more information comes out, he has refused
Mm-hmm.
to talk to Chicago PD.
His
They're-
lawyer's saying we're talking to him, but
Yeah.
for the lawyer.
his
Bullshit.
TV show, which already had a huge singing part in an entire
Is
week,
scrambling to cover his
it-
parts.
they said
Yeah.
that the writers are working almost double time to rewrite the script because he was supposed to be very prominent in all of this new taping. They're cutting it all out now.
oh
he
shit.
fucked that up, didn't he?
Yeah, read about it. It's crazy. They're literally cutting him out of the show now. Now, some people are saying, "Oh, it's because he doesn't want to be seen in public."
No.
Let's be honest. That's his only, or really his only revenue stream, and he makes a lot of money.
He doesn't want to be seen in public, but yeah, he's doing interviews, constantly talking about it. Like,
Yeah.
bullshit.
So that's what I'm saying. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
They are cutting him out.
Yeah.
Because part of his contract is going to say no egregious behavior. If there's any big story that comes out that says that you've done something egregious, we're going to terminate your contract. Football players have this type of stuff where it's like if you hurt yourself in the offseason and we find out that it's because you were doing any type of extreme sports or riding a motorcycle, like
I think
seriously, there's a lot of football players that have
I
a no
feel like-
motorcycle contract.
I feel
or
like the
clause.
NFL is a little bit lax compared to Hollywood. I mean, let's be fair
compared to Hollywood.
when it comes to egregious behaviors. Like the NFL is just like, holy shit.
But
we can just do
the
whatever.
point of it. The point of it is that in their contract they have these clauses.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Anyway.
think that he tried to do something to give him more fame, and he didn't think that they would be investigated, and now it is, and now it's fucking backfiring.
And
in
it's
his
disgusting.
Career.
Let me ask you this before we get off real quick.
He'll be on the Surreal Life if it was.
Do you think he should be sent to jail?
So they talked about this, and they said that there have been hundreds of man hours devoted to this case and investigating
false
it.
police report?
That at the very least, they're going to make him pay all that back, but he's super rich. Like we said before, this guy, what he did could have caused a windfall that could have gotten someone else hurt, and it could have legitimized hate crimes for other people.
Open
so
up a door
It's
for
like
it,
it's like screaming fire in the theater.
I think that Or going, let's put this into 2019 like context. Going into a theater and screaming gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, people could get trampled to death. I would run out of a theater so fast if someone screamed gun, or if someone dropped a firework in a movie theater. I would have fucking PTSD, because right down the road from me, a guy went into a movie theater and was trying to shoot people.
And the Waffle House.
And the Waffle House.
Yeah.
And the Waffle House in Antioch.
Which is right down the road from me. If someone dropped a firework in a movie theater, I'd have to go to therapy.
Yeah.
You know?
Real quick, before we're done, I'm just going to say this because it came up. This makes me think of it. Today, I went to the Thorntons right over here.
Yes.
By you?
Yes.
I dropped my kids off at school, and I was
I dropped my kids off at the Thorntons.
I dropped them off at school, and I was like, I fucking want a slushie. It was like 9 a.m.
Yes.
Don't judge me.
Yes.
And a fucking burrito. And I went there, and as I pulled up and parked, I got out, and I heard sirens, and I got out, and I got my keys, and so I walked up. 4 cop cars pulled up to the Thorntons.
Tell me it was getting robbed.
No. Well, all the cops jump out and ran inside as I'm getting ready to walk in, and I stop. And then I kind of backtrack, and there's like 5 people behind me. They're like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know, but I'm not trying to get killed. And then we're all standing there. Like, everybody really fucking wants a burrito and slushie, probably.
Yeah.
So I actually didn't get in my car. I just stood outside hoping that it would get resolved, because I fucking really wanted a burrito.
Jamie's fucking cupping her hands around the window like, are you guys done yet?
And then so this guy walks past me, and he's like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know. Maybe someone's getting shot. And he walks in, and I'm like, but I don't hear anything.
Wow.
So I just follow him in. And I'm like, but what, the lady behind the counter accidentally pushed the panic button.
Oh, shit.
So like.
You're fired.
But they were so, she was like, I pushed it in 30 seconds. They were there. And like.
Holy fuck.
But like, I was so glad it wasn't a robbery, because I wanted a burrito. But at the same time, I realized that like my want for a burrito is bigger than like almost dying.
Than
like,
death.
I was slowly going towards the door. Like, is it really? There's like 6 cops in there. It can't be that dangerous. I'm just gonna go and do it.
Can you picture the place getting robbed and Jamie like somehow sneaks through the back door and like starts making her slushie in the slushie machine?
I have
a
big purse. I would have all the burritos in my purse.
Well, I was gonna say thank you for validating me. I was just about to say I can see Jamie going in and being like, it's a heist, and stealing all the shit.
For sure. And you know what? I wouldn't even
She's got a 72-ounce slushie and about 5 burritos.
I wouldn't even steal like the expensive shit. I would have like, when you hit there like early morning, there's like 20 breakfast burritos. I would have all of them in my purse.
Yeah.
Right.
But so then this happened, and everybody finally came back inside, and there was like a group of people in front of the breakfast area, and everybody's like, are there more burritos? And the workers were like, well, no, we're not making any more. And it was like a mad dash for the breakfast burritos. There were like 10 of us all just grabbing shit. And I was like,
that's the punchline after all that?
I drove 15 minutes for fucking breakfast burrito, and I did like fight off construction workers that were big and bearded.
It was basically the Black Fridays for breakfast burritos.
Yeah.
You know what? I would almost rather be shot getting a breakfast burrito than be shot not getting one. That's all I got. That's what I did today. Yeah.
And on that note, this is Devin.
This is Adam.
This is Jamie. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because you fucked it up last time.
Fuck you.